What's up, Define Nation, and welcome to another episode of Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano, strength through knowledge. And Define Nation, I love these type of shows because we're going to be talking about some frontier types of holistic treatments, and I am really excited. Our special guest in studio today is Rick Seldeen, and Rick, as soon as I heard about this, I was so interested right off the bat, and you sent me some great information. And Define Nation, he is excited to share the information. I'm excited to get into it. Rick, you are a UTA nurse practitioner, and you're also a veteran. And you had a former head injury, and that's something that is going to be a little bit more significant as we get into the conversation today. But thank you for coming.
Danielle, it's great to be here, and thank you so much for having me on your radio show today. Thank you so much.
Well, Define Nation, what we're actually talking about specifically today is neurooptimal training, brain training. And, Rich, for people who have no idea what it is that I just said, can you give us kind of a mile-high overview before we dig in?
All right. Neurooptimal neurofeedback is a training that helps to build resilience and strength with the brain. It's a way that the computer that I have specific computer software that gives back information to the brain to make it more efficient and organized so people can be more productive, they can be more self-aware, and they can also focus and have better mood and memory as well.
Well, and what's amazing to me is this particular type of training, and I want to kind of get into who has had success with this and the type of ailments or illnesses or conditions that this might help with. You had mentioned athletes in particular, but also children with ADHD or adults, those who have had a former head injury, and also PTSD. So can you kind of take us through your head injury and kind of how you came across this technology?
Absolutely. When I was a child, Danielle, my dad had flown a plane back in 1966. It was a Cessna airplane, and all I remember, I was about 4 years old. He crashed in the mountains, and he was knocked unconscious. My mom broke her back, and I was unconscious apparently when I was found. And moving fast forward back into 1990, I was suffering prior to that with a lot of symptoms of fatigue, foggy thinking. I had problems performing in school, and I went to the University of North Texas where I had a brain map using traditional neurofeedback, and they found out at that point that I had a head injury, and we took a history, and that plane crash that I experienced back in 1966 was a significant factor in impacting how I was functioning through my teen years and my young adult life.
Now, is this because of the repercussions of the head injury, or was it directly linked to the head injury itself, or was this a cumulative type of thing? Or
it's basically was linked back to the plane crash, and head injuries are cumulative without treatment. So when you do experience a head injury for whatever cause, there is a cumulative effect without treatment. So your cognitive status or condition does tend to get worse.
So what was your initial what were your initial feelings when you first heard about this? Were you skeptical? Were you kind of like, hey, I'll give it a try? What were you like going in?
I was actually looking for help. I was wanting to find a way to get off of medications. I was looking for an alternative that could help me focus better, also improve my mood. And, I was going to school at the time, and I needed something that would help to give me a little bit of a mental edge. So I was open-minded, wanting to go in to get treatment that was alternative. And also my medications really weren't helping me very much at that time.
So if I can ask you, are there particular types of brain injuries that this works better for? Is it just any kind of a trauma to the head, or kind of walk us through that?
The neat thing about Neurooptimal is it works on every brain. So any type of issue that you have, whether it's PTSD, head injury, it's going to train that brain in the same way it's going to train your brain. It will give your brain that unique information that it needs to self-correct. So what makes it unique is it's not a diagnostic tool. We're not diagnosing people and then treating them. We're giving them brain training that allows their brain to receive information unique to itself, where it can go ahead and use that information to make those corrections so that that individual can start to experience better function, better cognitive function, mood improves, focus, comprehension, etc.
Well, and something that I'm interested in, you're a veteran, and PTSD, this is something that's been effective in that field. Have you been able to see firsthand a victim of PTSD go through this and kind of what their transformation was?
At this point right now, I do not have anyone that I'm working with that has PTSD. I'm actually actively looking for clients that have PTSD. Now, the providers that use NeurOptimal have reported great success with PTSD.
Is there one in particular that stands out, or
in terms of
the someone being treated for PTSD that has gone through this particular brain training?
As far as the training with PTSD, I mean, this helps to lower the anxiety level, helps them to sleep better, helps them to get better back into balance where that they can start to perform better their activities of daily living.
So is that basically the ADHD, which is kind of on the other, side of the spectrum where people do have a hard time concentrating. So they go through this training and it basically kind of quiets the mind so it knows how to concentrate? Is that what I'm understanding?
As the brain receives the information over consecutive trainings, what tends to improve for that person is focus, task orientation. They're able to multitask better. Their comprehension improves. What I can't say for sure is how the brain reorganizes this information because it receives it. Every brain is different. It's like defragging or decluttering a brain. And each nervous system is different, and we'll put those results in different orders. So someone might get better sleep right away, they might get better comprehension, but over time, these areas will improve significantly for these individuals suffering with head injury, PTSD, anxiety, depression, etc.
Well, Rich, we are going to dig into really what this process looks like and what somebody would experience going through it right after this commercial. And remember, Define Nation, this segment brought to you by Wonderfully Raw, organic, non-GMO snacks, bringing tastes that will bring a smile of amazement to your day. Visit them today at mycocorunes.com. That's mycocorunes.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and finding nutritional density in snacks these days can be a real challenge, especially for the little ones in your world. When I reach into my pantry, I grab a bag of Wonderfully Raw. Whether it's their Cocoa Rune, Brussels Bites, Dippers, or Snip Chips, I know both my taste buds and my hunger will be satisfied. See the wide variety of flavors sure to please all members of your family at mycocorunes.com. That's mycocoruns.com. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle. Now, you guys all know that I'm an avid cyclist, and the love of cycling has only grown from my first spin of the pedals. Because of my love for the sport, Richardson Bike Mart is my only choice when it comes to equipment, accessories, and the most knowledgeable cycle experts in DFW. Their massive selection is only outshined by the extent of cycling expertise and caring by the staff. Remember, choosing a bike is personal and precise, so make Richardson Bike Mart your only choice too. Visit them today in Frisco off John Hickman Parkway, Dallas off of Garland Road next to White Rock Lake, or the Richardson location at Campbell and Coit. Check them out at bikemart.com. That's BIKEMART.com. And we're back, Define Nation, with our very special guest, Rick Seldeen, and we're talking about neurooptimal brain training today. And we kind of talked a little bit about in the first segment who could benefit from this and your own personal story of how you really sought this out, sought a type of treatment that you thought would really work. So if somebody decides, hey, maybe this is something that I'd like to try, what is the experience like when they go in? What does the machine look like? What kind of walk us through that first initial type of visit?
Okay, the initial assessment, I have client consent forms and then symptom-based forms that clients can fill out. And the symptom-based forms help us identify what issues that particular individual is experiencing. We rate them from 1 to 10. We go back to that list after 10 sessions or so to kind of quantify how well the training is working out for them. So we set an expectation of at least 6 sessions to start out with. This person is going to be training. It's a 33-minute training session where they sit in the comfort of a recliner or a zero-gravity chair. I hook up sensors to the scalp. Information is read from the scalp to the computer. That person wears earbuds, and they get to listen to music, and then there's skipping of the music. And that skipping of the music that they experience is feedback that the brain is receiving on how it is functioning in real time. Well, that information over time helps that brain to correct. And the experience is somebody sits in a chair, they watch nice fractal images on the screen, they can close their eyes and relax, and then over the course of 33 minutes, most people fall asleep, and it's a very relaxing experience for them.
So first of all, 33 minutes. Why 33 minutes? What is the rationale behind that 33?
The owner, Valdine Brown, came up with 33 minutes based on the algorithms that his computer uses. It's a proprietary set of information that he uses, and I did not get specific information. It's just something that, as a design feature that they came up with, was the most therapeutic time that allowed the brain to not only receive the information but to integrate it as well.
So if I'm understanding, the real healing or kind of the resetting of the brain comes from the sounds that the person is listening to.
They're listening to music, and they're hearing a skipping of the music, which is basically the information, the algorithm in the computer, because I have a laptop that's connected to all the wires and the sensors that the patient is wearing. And that skipping is what the computer is giving back as information to the brain. It's almost like the brain has a mirror that it's looking at. So the computer gives back this metaphorical mirror of what the brain is functioning or looking like in real time. And then when the brain sees how it's functioning, it changes its own course of action to a more homeostasis or more balanced state.
So it's kind of like when you come in from the rain and your hair's all a mess and you don't realize it until you look in the mirror, and then all of a sudden then you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you straighten it out. The brain is the same way. So when it looks at this information through sound, it's getting that information and it's wanting to correct. Now it has something to work with. So it's the unique way the brain receives the information and then it can correct itself. It's almost like getting an alignment at a tire shop. You know, the way they align tires on a car, that's the way I see that.
Well, it fascinates me how marvelous the human brain is and the different functionalities and how it can kind of reset, reprogram the amount of just simple transactions that go on in the brain every second. It just absolutely, it's just a marvel and just so impressed with it. So let me ask you, now you said 6 sessions is typically what somebody would start with. So is there, can somebody feel relief within 1 or 2, or is six kind of the happy medium? Or
that's a great question, Danielle. Basically what I notice from the clients that I'm currently seeing right now, most people are experiencing shifts in behavior and consciousness within the first 3 sessions, 3 to 6 sessions. But I do want to put in a caveat. If somebody says to me, well, how many sessions do I need? Because everyone's brain and nervous system is unique, it's a hard question to answer. So I like to say that let's start out with 6, and then based on your improvements and your awareness and your changes in your behavior and what you came in for, I let that person decide how many sessions they like to go past 6. Normally, 6 to 12 sessions is what I've seen in my practice at this point.
And this is such a new technology, a new kind of a practice of going about trying to help people that do have chronic conditions. You're very unique in Dallas. I mean, how many people across the country actually know how to administer this type of brain training and are familiar with this process? Or are you kind of all by yourself here in the Southwest?
Absolutely not. NeuroOptimal has over 2,000 units sold worldwide. That's international and in the United States, and currently there's at least 500 providers throughout the United States that are using NeuroOptimal. That's an estimated guess that I have. So there's different styles of neurofeedback. There's traditional that uses brain mapping. It's protocol-based. It's diagnostic-based. So long story short, what makes this unique is that Traditionally, there's more expense having a QEEG or a brain map and then setting protocols. And by using these protocols, there is a chance of an error in terms of how you're being treated. In the diagnosis, there's a chance for overshooting the frequencies you're training, possibly causing side effects. What's beautiful about this treatment is that you can train every brain the same way. It receives the same unique information, but the nervous system is making the change. You're not doing something to the brain as you would in traditional neurofeedback.
So really, this almost sounds like a, for lack of a better term, goof-proof. It's not, your brain is really healing yourself. There's no way to manipulate. There's no way to kind of circumvent. It almost sounds like foolproof.
Danielle, you brought up a great point. It is foolproof. And because we're not pushing or pulling the brain into particular states like you would do in a traditional neurofeedback setting, there are no side effects. The side effects could be feeling extra tired or relaxed, but generally speaking, you're not pushing or pulling the brain into different states. So that is a good point. It is foolproof.
And much safer than pharmaceuticals, which is what I'd like to start the next segment kind of talking about, and kind of, what is the view from the traditional side of medicine, and just kind of dig into that a little bit. You good with that?
Absolutely.
All right. All right, Define Nation, remember that this segment brought to you by the Highway for Health Project. Childhood obesity and bullying are preventable. Check it out today at highwayforhealth.org. That's highway, F-O-R, health.org. This is Danielle from the Define Your Health with Danielle Girdano radio show. Something that's truly near and dear to my heart is the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States. This is a preventable epidemic that is taking over the lives of the next generation of children in this country. When I was growing up, my dad used to tell me, if you're not willing to do something to change something that you don't like, you don't have the right to complain. Well, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. This year, Define is embarking on the highwayforhealth.org project. What is it? It is a project to call attention to the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States and how preventable it truly is. The project will give parents the tools and the resources that they need to make the right choices and truly equip themselves with the right knowledge so that they can help the next generations of Americans. Help me help the future. Visit highwayforhealth.org. Again, that's highway, F-O-R, health.org. Hey, Define Nation, this is Danielle, and you hear me talk a lot about nutritional density on my show. You guys all know the most important essential nutrient is water, but so many of us take it for granted. For me and my family, only one name in water will do, and that's e-water. Since having my home system installed, my whole family has tasted and felt the difference. Who knew my favorite beverage could be better? One of the most surprising aspects is in the shower. My pores feel more open and skin more alive. It really is a unique feeling. Water is the most important element for life, so don't let another day pass without enjoying it to the fullest with eWater home filtration systems. Visit them today at ewater.com. That's ewater.com. And we're back to Define Nation with our very special guest, Rick Seldeen, and we're talking about neurooptimal brain training today, and really how it can be more beneficial, it can be more cost effective, and treats the actual issue and not just misdiagnosing. And we were just kind of talking on the break a little bit about misdiagnosing. Can you maybe give our listeners a little better grip on, because traditionally brain mapping is what has been used in traditional medicine. So can you kind of walk us through the differences and really how a diagnosis versus treatment can be different?
Absolutely. One thing, Danielle, I want to kind of point out is for the listeners that are looking for alternatives, medication for mental illness or diagnoses for the mental illness group are primarily pharmaceuticals. At some point, a lot of those meds fail. I've been on medications. To me, it's not a long-term solution for an issue like mental illness or people suffering with depression, anxiety, et cetera.
Or you take it for one thing and 5 other things are hurt
right.
for taking that one thing.
So for the folks that are interested in getting off, this neurooptimal is an option for people to get information to allow their brain to correct the imbalances by sitting in, getting hooked up with the leads and sensors, and getting that information the nervous system and brain can correct in a very gentle manner to be able to improve in whatever it may be, mood, task, focus, all the symptoms that they're experiencing. Now, to get over to traditional approaches, in traditional neurofeedback approaches, it is more costly. You have to go through where they give you a brain mapping. They also have to diagnose you. They can push or pull the brain in a direction that may make you uncomfortable. It may be the incorrect way to go. It may be something that your brain doesn't need at that time, and there can also be side effects. With Neurooptimal, we don't have brain mapping. It's non-diagnostic because the brain is receiving information that it uses to make the corrections based on the skipping of the music that's played during the session, and that nervous system does those corrections in a way the individual can tolerate. It's very gentle. So over time, that missing information that brain needed to receive is getting it through the training, and those symptoms are either completely resolving or going away, or they are significantly reduced. So that's how I see that.
Well, and the brain is such a marvel. It seems like, if it's put in a position where it can heal itself, where it knows what needs fixed, instead of kind of masking the symptoms with medication. This sounds like more of a direct approach to heal, not just to mask symptoms.
Direct approach to heal is a fantastic way of describing it, Danielle.
That's your new tagline. No, I'm joking.
No, I love it. What is important for the listeners to know is, what are you really medicating? This takes the guesswork out of it, because the brain is being communicated in a way that it can adjust itself so those neurotransmitters balance, hormones balance, and function starts to trend in a direction of balance. So people start to feel better, they multitask, they focus, they perform better, and they're more productive. And that's what medications may or may not do for people. I want to say this, medications were helpful in the short term for me, and then as time went by, my situation became more cumulative. And I know that there's people out there that they're looking for another answer, and they've been on medications, and it's been okay, but they're not happy with either the side effects or the results. It's just over time that medication may not be as effective.
So let me ask you this. Someone comes in and say they go through the first 6, 8 sessions, what have you. They're seeing results. Maybe they do 10 or 15 sessions, however it may be, where they feel like they've reached a point of that balance, and the brain seems to have healed what was imbalanced or incorrect. Now, is this a permanent fix? Is this something where people need to possibly, I hate to say the word tune-up, but in essence, that's what I'm, asking. Does the brain need a tune-up from time to time, or once this is fixed, is it a one-shot
From what I'm
deal?
finding out with my own clients, the training is cumulative. But there are people, and I had clients that did initial 15 sessions and that came in for tune-ups. So yes, there are opportunities for that patient to where they feel, I need to come in and get more training, but for the most part, this is very cumulative, and those results do stick. So it's really individual to individual, but the tune-ups that I've given people, they've only come in for an extra couple of sessions over like a month's period of time. So they would do an initial 10 to 15, and then they'd come back maybe for a couple, several months later. That's been my experience.
So let me ask you this. How has traditional medicine kind of reacted to this technology? Is it too early to tell? Typically traditional medicine is very standoffish when it comes to more holistic or more natural approaches to healing the body. Have you seen anything? Is this really too early to tell where traditional medicine has been exposed to this? Or
there are, from my observations, I don't have specific names, but I do know that there are psychiatrists that are using Neurooptimal. There's psychologists that are using Neurooptimal. There's also doctors, neurologists using traditional neurofeedback. So that field is growing. We have different camps. This is a negative feedback approach where the brain is not getting pushed or pulled into a particular direction, which is negative feedback. And then there's the traditional positive feedback approach where the brain is rewarded to actually increase a particular frequency on the scalp. And it's something that we push and ask the brain to do based on the diagnosis. So yes, there are physicians, there are counselors, there are nurse practitioners using different types of neurofeedback today. So I believe the field is becoming more open to it.
So real quickly then, you feel that the future of this type of therapy is pretty bright. I mean, if we're getting good results, more people are coming aware of it, it's being, at least in the short term, being accepted by traditional doctors. The future seems pretty bright.
I feel like the field is growing, and I've made a specific investment in it because of my own experiences, the results that I'm seeing currently with myself and the clients I have. I'm excited to see this grow, and people are thrilled. The clients that I have are excited to be there and getting a lot of benefit out of it.
Well, Rick, you are definitely the expert here, and so Divine Nation, you need to send your questions to him. How can, if people do have some extra questions about what we talked about here, or to just learn more about it, how can they get in contact with you?
My phone number is 214-460-1212. Website, and I'm on Facebook, is energywellnessdfw.com, and I'm also, again, on Facebook. I've got really good videos on there. I have testimonials of people that can explain what their impact has been doing the training. So I welcome you and look forward to treating Dallas.
All right, and Define Nation, we will make sure that we get that link up on our Facebook page so that you guys can easily access it. Rick, this has been just awesome. This has been absolutely just phenomenal, and I'm excited about the future of this type of therapy to truly help people, not just mask symptoms.
I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to serving people and helping them to get better.
And Define Nation, remember, after this evening's show, you want to log on to our social media sites for your chance to win that $500 prize pack. And Rick, you actually threw in a gift certificate for that prize pack so people can actually try it for themselves.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on the show, and I look forward to training Dallas.
I'm excited, Define Nation. Remember, Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. You never know where we're going to slide that question in. Until next time, Define Nation, remember, motivated and dedicated and highly recommended. Bye-bye.